Okay, well, I think I'm going to have a quick one for you guys today. I thought some folks might be interested in this. This is an old air compressor I came into possession of a couple of years ago. It has a Worthington pump on it, and I'm pretty sure this compressor is somewhere between 70 to 90 years old. The company name at the time was Worthington Pump and Machinery. They changed their name in 1951 away from that, and there are 2 patents on there which are not pending. And both of those, or rather the later one of them, was granted in 1931. So this thing was manufactured somewhere between 1931 and about 1951. 1951, I think, might have been the latest year that this pump could have been produced under that company name. Now, I found a brochure on these Worthington V style pumps, and I think it was from the mid-30s, and the compressor tank looks nothing like the one you're looking at now. So if you'll notice along the side there, this is a riveted pressure vessel, and it didn't look anything like the compressor and tank assembly. Well, the compressor looked like the Worthington pump, but the tank assembly and the motor don't look anything like what were in the catalog. The motor on the left is a Dyna 5-horse motor. It is a massive induction motor, and I'm not sure that it's original. I'm not sure that this tank is original, but maybe it is original to this compressor because it's painted the same color and it just looks really old, and maybe this is one of the earlier models. But that motor on the left isn't nearly as ornate as most electric motors that I've seen from the period, if we're talking 1930s. And that fits with what's in the catalog as well. Again, a much more ornate looking motor. The types that would match this compressor on the right would be a Type VS and a Type VA-2. They were 5 horsepower tank mounted units. And they had larger ones that had cylinders that were the same size on either side there. But this one actually has a smaller cylinder on that side for the high pressure side. So this would probably be a Type VS, looking at this diagram here. And the Type VA would be the larger version. Taking a look at the other side of it here, you can see the Worthington label over on the pump there. But to get to the point, the main reason that I'm doing this video today is we're going to take a peek inside of this air compressor, or rather, we're going to take a peek inside the tank. Now, this tank, I imagine, is probably as old as the compressor or close to it if it's not the original tank. It has a very similar paint job. It doesn't look like either the tank or the compressor has been repainted, not that I would be able to tell. If they properly stripped all the paint off, of course, first, then it would be pretty impossible. But I don't see a second color where it's wearing off either on the tank or the compressor itself. I can tell you where I took this compressor out of. There were steel lines in the building, and they were so rusted that they just ripped apart as I tore the system apart. There was no salvaging these steel lines. They were rotted out that badly. But there are a couple of huge welds over on the compressor heads here. So this thing has been worked on more than once, and it makes me question whether it's really made out of cast iron or cast steel. It's definitely a cast part, given the texturing on it and given the year in which it was made. Even now, casting for something like this is cheaper, and the new compressor I have is cast as well. That's just very common. But someone thought it was worth the time to go ahead and repair it. Again, and the 2 reasons I took this compressor out of service, A, is the fact that it sounds like it has rod knock. I did not want this tank to explode on me while I was working out here. You just never know. It feels very solid. It may be a very thick metal, but at the same time, I can't get the valve to open up, and I suppose I could go ham on it and destroy the valve, opening it up to drain the water out, but I'm sure there could be a lake of water in here. And that's why I made the other video on adding the water separator to that compressor, which actually works really well, and I haven't noticed any water inside the tank. I do have another modification to make, but I'm going to save that for a later video. I think it needs a little more airflow across it because now it's putting more heat across the compressor itself, which I don't want. And we may be able to get better airflow across the radiator that I added as well. So as for this, I'm kind of expecting a lake of water in here and a lot of corrosion on the bottom. I mean, it hasn't really started leaking on the floor yet, which, you know, I guess I would expect if there was a pinhole in it, because I'm sure this tank has water in it after the amount that I've gotten out of my other compressor just since adding the water separator. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take that pressure valve off, and we're going to take a peek inside. Okay, let's see if I can hold this steady while I do this. Ooh, that's pretty rusty. That's actually really surprising considering how far up in the compressor we are. We have entered this thing from the top, and there's just all sorts of rust in this pipe up here. Wow. And we're still in pipe above the compressor, and again, the water pools at the bottom. That's pretty incredible. You can see some white down there. So my prediction was right. There's definitely water at the bottom of this tank, and that's where that reflection is coming from. There's no way there's shiny metal on the bottom of this tank. So slowly feed this down here so we can drop some rust into the tank. Come on, baby. Hopefully this is all in focus. I really needed a jig for the inspection camera. Jeez. Oh yeah, we got rust at the bottom. It's nasty. It looks like rust mud puddles down there. Let's see how far we can go. That looks to be right up on the water there. We've lost focus on our camera. Let's see if we can switch to the side camera. Okay. Yeah, you can see the surface of the water there. Yeah, you can see the surface of the water there, and all that muddy rust on the bottom. There's the tank sidewall. That doesn't... It's kind of black, though. I don't know if that's corrosion or a coating. Usually you have to pay extra for a coating these days. Yeah. And that just looks like rust rocks and rust mud at the bottom there. Like, that's filthy. Could be some oil in that. I got to see if I can break that fitting off and drain this tank out, but you know, given how old it was, it just wasn't worth the risk to keep trying and using it. I don't know how thick this is. I don't know if you'd have to x-ray it or ultrasound it to try and find out how thick the casing is down there. It may not be safe regardless. But this tank is, again, probably 70 plus years old, so I think it was just time to retire it. And yeah, I guess that's what we've got. That's what the inside of this tank looks like. Let's see if I can turn this the other way. Not getting much that way. Yep. Yeah. Let's see if we can get this. Is that the other side wall? Yep, more or less. What is over there? What am I looking at? Oh, that's where the rivets are. That's weird. It's kind of shiny behind them. And look at those rivets, how rusty they are. There's no telling how corroded some of those rivets could be. I mean, if one of those lets go or something, the whole sidewall, as far as I know, could just go. And maybe that black stuff in there is tar or something. Maybe that's how they sealed this pressure vessel under pressure. But that is incredible. I'm surprised this side camera is working that well, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's crazy. Let's come back up. Oh, yep, there's some more sidewalls. We come to the top. Look at how pitted that surface is. And again, this is the top. Water isn't pooling here. You can tell all the pitting that's occurring over here. Just for my own sake, I think it was definitely a good decision to retire this tank. Wow, that's incredible. I don't even know what that is. What's that brightly colored stuff over there? Is that like wet rust, or I suppose rust could be that reflective, but sheesh, that almost looks like a radioactive liquid from the movies or something. I don't know what that is. What is it, stalactites or stalagmites that are on the top? Are those rust stalactites? I don't know. That's terrible. It's a lot of pitting. I can see some pretty deep pits there. What looks to be some oil over here. I don't know what that's all about. Yep. And as we go up the rusty fittings and back out of the tank. So here's a better shot of the weld on the bottom of the small cylinder. And then if we pan to the right and hopefully down, you can see the weld on the large cylinder. These are not tiny welds. And I don't know if this is cast iron or cast steel. Someone was brave enough to repair this in the past. And personally, well, it held up, but was it worth the risk? I don't know. So probably another reason to retire this compressor rather than try and fix it if it does end up having rod knock. All right, well, all things considered, this compressor served well for many, many years, at least 70 of them. It's been through hell, but I gotta get this thing out of here, get some more room in the building to do some other work that I've got going on right now. And so if you like this content, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, hit that like button. If not, you know what to do. And I'll see you again next time.